Matthew 22 gives a parable that Jesus gave, saying, "The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a certain king who made a marriage feast for his son, and sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to the marriage feast, and they would not come." Many times we're called, but we don't go. And sometimes it's because we don't hear God's communication to us. The days when you used to be hit off your horse like Saul was by God seem to be over. There's no communication like Abraham had with God when he bartered with God over Sodom and Gomorrah, or when God walked in the garden with Adam. Now it's more when God speaks, it's like Elijah, where God was not in the wind or in the earthquake, but in that small, still voice. And we often don't hear that small, still voice because we're too busy. We're too busy on social media, we're too busy on working, we're too busy with our sports, with everything we do from morning until night to hear that small, still voice of God in his communication to us. And then sometimes when we do hear it, we often don't know how to walk with God or communicate with God in return. There is a list of what we should be doing when we communicate with God. And there are 8 things. How you walk with God in this world. The first is honesty. It says that we are not supposed to recompense to no man evil for evil, but provide things honest in the sight of God. Honest with ourselves and honest with God. God knows when we're being truthful. And when we ask for things or try to walk in a way which is not really in an honest manner, we're found out. There's no debate that he can understand exactly what he wants us to do. Number 2 is purity. Now, Mike mentioned a little bit of this earlier when he said about the old times. Because in those days, the high priest had to be extremely pure. They had to be pure inside and out. They had to give sacrifices for their sins before they could go into the Holy of Holies to give sacrifices for the nation. And they also had to wash themselves on the outside as well with clean water. They had to be pure. They had to be pure in the sense that they had to be an example of holiness and purity. It says in 1 James chapter 1, it says, "Pure religion and undefiled before our God and Father is this, to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, and to keep oneself unspotted from the world." Purity. Honesty and purity. And then confidence. We are supposed to have confidence when we come before God. We are supposed to know that if God has done this for us, that we are supposed to have perfect trust in him. It says in Isaiah 17, that the work of righteousness shall be peace, and the effect of righteousness, quietness and confidence forever. If we have righteousness according to God, we should have confidence in what Christ has done and in what he says he will do for us. The fourth is intimacy. We have to be intimate with God, and God is intimate with us. And He's done it in a way which is unique. You see, He said that when He left us, He would send us the Holy Spirit to dwell in us, not in the world, but in everybody individually, so that we can be intimate with God in a unique way, each one to ourselves. And then there's to be active obedience. Because James put it this way, that faith without works is dead. If you have no works, if you are not doing anything to show your faith, then your faith really is not active. And faith without works is dead. There's no sense in doing something or saying something and not doing it. In James it says, if a man will say, you have faith, and I have works, show me your faith apart from your works, and I, by my works, will show you my faith. Active obedience. And the sixth thing is worship together. There's no such thing as soul Christianity. You cannot be a Christian by yourself, truly. Well, someone said being a Christian without going to church is like being a husband who never goes home. Not recommended. You can't do it. It's like a bee without a hive, like a sailor without a ship, like a salesman with no customers. Christianity demands interaction and assembly together. It says in Revelations to worship God, but it says in Hebrews to assemble yourselves together. And it says also to be expectant. We are to be expectant. We are to be expectant that Christ is coming. It says in Revelations that I am the Alpha and the Omega, the God who is and who was and is to come. It says in verse 7, behold, he comes with the clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they that pierced him, and all the tribes of the earth shall mourn over him. They be expectant. And it says again in Hebrews, even more so, as the day approaches. And the last is consistency. James 1, 6-8. Do not waver like the winds. Do not be uncertain, because he who wavers will receive nothing from God. Do it with certainty. How do you communicate back to God? These are the ways. And it really says that rejoice in the Lord always. The Lord is at hand. In nothing be anxious, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be known. Brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honorable, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. 8 reasons, 8 ways that we walk with God, and 8 things to think about.